Men over 60 often think an enlarged prostate is just part of aging, something you simply have to accept, like graying hair or slowing down. But what if I told you it doesn't have to be that way? What if I told you that small, almost invisible daily habits, things no one really mentions, could quietly work in your favor and actually help shrink your prostate naturally? Think about it for a second. How many nights have you woken up, frustrated, making trip after trip to the bathroom, wishing you could just sleep through till morning? How many times have you sat in silence, embarrassed to admit how much it bothers you? You're not alone. Every day, men just like you struggle with the same thing. But here's the truth, it doesn't have to define you. I'm Dr. David Jarrard. After more than 29 years of working with men in their 60s, 70s, and beyond, I've seen the same patterns over and over again. And I've seen how overlooked habits, simple, practical changes, can make a massive difference in prostate health. Not pills. Not quick fixes. But choices you can start today that actually put you back in control. And here's why this matters. Prostate issues don't just affect your body. They affect your sleep, your confidence, your mood, and yes, even your independence. When the prostate grows, it feels like life shrinks. But it doesn't have to. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know 5 habits that can quietly help your prostate, and one of them might surprise you the most. These aren't gimmicks. These are real changes you can put into practice right now. So let me ask you, are you ready? Comment, I'm here, if you're ready to learn the habits no one ever talks about when it comes to prostate health. And don't forget to subscribe to Golden 70s Health, where each week, we bring you science-backed, practical tips to help you stay strong, sharp, and independent after 60. Because this journey isn't just about your prostate. It's about reclaiming your freedom. Now let's dive into the first habit, one that sounds so simple you might be tempted to overlook it. Smart hydration timing. Picture this for a moment, a man in his 70s spends most of his day avoiding water. He tells himself, if I drink less, I won't have to run to the bathroom as much. Then, as evening comes, thirst finally catches up with him. He pours 1, maybe 2 big glasses of water, drinks them down quickly, and settles in for the night. But instead of restful sleep, his night is broken into fragments. Up once, up twice, up 5 times before dawn. By morning, he feels more exhausted than when he went to bed. Sound familiar? Maybe you've done the same thing without even realizing the pattern. But here's the truth, it isn't the water itself that's the problem. It's the timing. When the bladder fills overnight, it presses harder against the prostate. And for a man with an enlarged prostate, that pressure is like flipping on a light switch. It wakes you, it forces you out of bed, it leaves you drained and frustrated. Here's where many men go wrong. They believe drinking less water during the day is the answer. But dehydration does something dangerous, it thickens your urine, it irritates your bladder lining, and it actually makes prostate inflammation worse. In other words, the very habit you thought was helping, might be fueling the problem. So what can you do instead? Think of hydration like fueling a car. You don't dump in all the gas at once and expect the engine to run smoothly, you spread it out. Your body works the same way. Aim to sip water evenly throughout the day. A glass in the morning, another mid-morning, steady amounts with your meals. Then, as evening approaches, taper off. You're still hydrated, but you're not flooding your bladder when your body needs rest. And here's a gentle bonus tip. Instead of reaching for sugary sodas or coffee late in the day, try calming teas like nettle tea or green tea. These herbs have natural anti-inflammatory properties that support your prostate without the caffeine spike that keeps you awake. Small swaps, steady habits, big results. So the first habit isn't about how much water you drink, it's about when and how you drink it. And when you get this rhythm right, you'll notice a powerful difference. Fewer nighttime trips, deeper rest, and a calmer, happier bladder. But water alone isn't enough. Because your prostate health is also shaped by how you move, or don't move, every single day. And that leads us straight into the second habit. Let's move to the second habit, literally. Gentle daily movement. One of my patients, a man in his mid-70s, loved to read. Every morning he'd settle into his favorite chair with the newspaper, and before he knew it, hours had passed. He'd only stand when he absolutely had to: meals, the bathroom, bedtime. And while his mind was active, his body was still. Slowly, without even noticing, his symptoms worsened. More pressure. More urgency. More sleepless nights. Why did this happen? Because the prostate doesn't just respond to age, it responds to circulation. When you sit for long stretches, blood flow slows in the pelvic area. Pressure builds. Muscles stiffen. The prostate becomes more congested. And over time, that constant pressure creates the perfect storm for inflammation. Here's the misconception many men have: they think only intense exercise counts. They picture heavy weights at the gym or running miles on a treadmill. And because that feels unrealistic, they do nothing. But that's not how your body works. Your prostate doesn't need marathons, it needs motion. Simple movements can make a world of difference. A short walk after lunch or dinner helps your body digest food and improves pelvic circulation. Gentle pelvic stretches, just a few minutes each day, release tension from the lower back and hips, giving your prostate the space it needs. And even light gardening. Bending, reaching, standing, gets blood moving in ways that sitting simply can't. You don't have to think of movement as exercise. Think of it as medicine. Each step is like opening a valve, releasing pressure, and sending fresh blood to areas that desperately need it. Small movements add up. They reduce swelling, calm inflammation, and help restore comfort. So the next time you're tempted to sit for hours on end, remember this: your prostate thrives on circulation, and every moment you choose to move is a moment you choose relief. Movement helps circulation, but it's not the whole story. Because what you put on your plate, every bite, every meal, matters just as much. And that's exactly what we'll explore in the third habit. Now let's talk about the third habit: anti-inflammatory eating. Imagine this: a man in his late 60s, still proud of his appetite, still enjoying the foods he grew up with. Processed meat sizzling on the pan, fried foods that comfort him at the end of a long day, and late-night snacks that sneak in more often than he admits. At first, it feels harmless. But as the years pass, he notices subtle changes. His waistline expands. His energy dips. And quietly, without fanfare, his prostate follows the same path, growing larger, pressing harder, and stealing more of his comfort. Here's the science behind it. Diets high in red meat, processed sugars, and heavy dairy products fuel inflammation. And when inflammation takes hold, it doesn't just affect your joints or your waistline, it directly aggravates the prostate. This is the hidden link to BPH, benign prostatic hyperplasia. A swollen, irritated prostate is far more likely to enlarge when the body is constantly battling inflammation from food. And here's where the misconception comes in. Too many men assume medication alone will solve their prostate troubles. They think pills can undo years of dietary choices. But medicine, while useful, doesn't erase the fuel behind the fire. If the food keeps feeding inflammation, no prescription can truly win the battle. So what's the alternative? You don't have to give up flavor. You don't have to live on bland salads. Instead, shift your plate toward foods that calm inflammation. Add more tomatoes. They're rich in lycopene, a powerful antioxidant that specifically supports prostate health. Bring in cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, and Brussels sprouts. They help detoxify the body and reduce swelling. Choose omega-3 rich fish like salmon or sardines, which counteract the inflammatory effects of processed fats. And snack on nuts, almonds, walnuts, Brazil nuts, which not only curb hunger but nourish your prostate with essential minerals. Think of each bite as either adding fuel to the fire, or gently putting it out. Every time you choose the latter, you give your prostate relief. But food isn't the only silent player here. Because even if you eat perfectly, what you do in the bathroom, the choices you make there, can make or break your progress. And that leads us to the fourth habit. Now let's move to the fourth habit, one that almost every man has been guilty of at some point. Never holding urine too long. Men sometimes train themselves, without even realizing it, to hold it in. Maybe it's during a long drive, where pulling over feels like an inconvenience. Maybe it's during a meeting, where leaving the room might draw attention. Or maybe it's something as simple as sitting comfortably in front of the TV, convincing yourself you can wait another half hour. At first, it seems harmless. After all, what's a little waiting? But over time, this silent habit takes its toll. Here's what really happens inside your body. When you hold urine for too long, your bladder stretches beyond its natural comfort. This stretching weakens the bladder walls, making it harder to fully empty later. And when urine lingers, it creates more pressure that pushes directly against your prostate. For men already dealing with an enlarged prostate, that pressure only worsens the urgency, the discomfort, and the nighttime interruptions. The misconception is common. Many men believe that waiting actually trains the bladder to become stronger, like lifting weights at the gym. But the truth is the opposite. Instead of building strength, it wears down control. It confuses the signals between your brain and bladder, leading to leaks, urgency, and more strain on the prostate itself. So what can you do differently? The advice is simple, but it requires mindfulness. When your body sends the signal, don't ignore it. Respond to the urge promptly. Make bathroom breaks part of your natural rhythm, not something you delay until it's unbearable. Even if it feels inconvenient, especially in public or while busy, think of it as an act of protection. Not just for your comfort now, but for your long-term prostate health. By honoring your body's signals, you avoid unnecessary strain and give your prostate the relief it needs. It's not weakness. It's wisdom. And finally, there's one last habit, one of the most overlooked of all. Because this habit doesn't lie in the body, but in the mind. And it can make all the difference. And now we come to the fifth habit, one that's often overlooked because it doesn't show up on your plate, or in your glass, or even in your daily movement. It lives quietly in your mind. Stress reduction and sleep rituals. I once spoke with a man in his early 70s who told me something I'll never forget. He said, "Doc, my symptoms are always worse when life feels heavier. When the bills pile up. When I argue with my kids. When I can't sleep at night." And he was right. His prostate issues seemed to flare whenever stress took over. There's a reason for this. Stress is not just an emotion, it's chemistry. When your body feels stressed, it releases cortisol, the stress hormone. And while cortisol is useful in short bursts, when it stays elevated day after day, it fuels inflammation throughout the body. That includes the prostate. Cortisol also disrupts hormone balance, tipping the scale in ways that encourage the prostate to swell even further. What starts as emotional strain quietly becomes physical discomfort. But here's the mistake so many men make. They think prostate health is only about the physical, the foods they eat, the water they drink, the walks they take. They never connect the dots to their mind, their stress, or their sleep. Yet your body doesn't separate these things. Your mind and body are in constant conversation, and your prostate is listening. So what can you do? Start by creating a bedtime ritual that tells your body it's safe to rest. Dim the lights an hour before bed to gently guide your brain into relaxation. Do a few minutes of light stretching or deep breathing to release the tension from your shoulders, back, and chest. Turn off the noise, the late-night news, the scrolling, the worries, and instead give yourself space for calm. And then, let sleep do its work. Aim for 7 to 8 hours, not as a luxury, but as medicine for your body. When you allow yourself true rest, inflammation eases. Hormones rebalance. Your body repairs itself quietly while you sleep. And the prostate, no longer under constant chemical attack from stress, finally gets the chance to calm down. These 5 habits may sound simple, but when practiced consistently, they can change everything. They remind you that health isn't just about what's happening to you, it's about how you respond, how you live, and the choices you make every single day. Living with an enlarged prostate can feel like losing little pieces of yourself. Your energy isn't what it used to be. Your sleep gets broken up night after night. Your confidence, the quiet pride you once carried, starts to feel chipped away with every trip to the bathroom. Even your sense of independence can shrink, leaving you frustrated, maybe even embarrassed. But here's what I want you to remember: this doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean you've reached the end of what your body can do. Because small habits can shift the course. They may not shout. They may not give overnight miracles. But they whisper change into your body day after day. And together, those whispers grow into something powerful. You are not powerless. Far from it. Your body, even now, is still capable of surprising you. Every time you choose to move instead of sit, every time you choose a meal that calms instead of inflames, every time you drink water with intention instead of desperation, you are sending your prostate a message: I am still in control. So tonight, don't overwhelm yourself by thinking you need to change everything. Just try one. Maybe it's a short walk after dinner. Maybe it's drinking water earlier in the day and skipping that late-night gulp. Maybe it's dimming the lights before bed and giving yourself permission to rest. These aren't grand gestures. They're seeds. And if you plant them now, they can grow into relief, strength, and confidence. Because here's the truth: you're not broken, you're adapting. And adaptation is strength. With the right tools, the right habits, and the right mindset, you can still live with dignity, with energy, and with pride. Your prostate doesn't define you. Your habits do. And you, even now, still hold the power to shape what comes next. So let's bring this all together. To recap, 5 habits, simple but powerful. Smart hydration timing, drinking water evenly through the day instead of flooding your bladder at night. Gentle daily movement, short walks, stretches, even light activity that keeps blood flowing. Anti-inflammatory eating. Choosing foods that calm rather than inflame. Never holding urine too long, listening to your body's signals and protecting your bladder and prostate. And finally, reducing stress and building sleep rituals, because your mind and body are always connected. These 5 habits may seem small, but when they work together, they quietly protect and support your prostate health in ways medication alone never could. Now, here's something I'd love for you to think about. Out of these 5, which do you believe makes the biggest difference? Or is it not about just one, but about the combination, the way all 5 come together? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your perspective might be exactly what another man needs to hear. And if you found this video helpful, consider subscribing to Golden 70s Health. Every week, we bring you science-backed, practical tips designed to keep you strong, sharp, and independent after 60. Subscribing means you don't miss out on the tools that can truly change your daily life. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Remember, you are not alone in this journey. Stay strong, stay informed, and know that with the right habits, you can continue to live with energy, confidence, and pride. I'll see you in the next video.